Hello, I'm O Speaks. If you're new here, please like, subscribe, share. What's going on, Jay, Country Boy Dub, Lou? What's going on, man? Uncle L, as always. What's going on, sir? So today I saw some videos because all the ICE raids are still happening, and I wanted to cover something because it does look like illegals are getting bolder and bolder in how they're treating their own situation. They're getting seemingly they're getting upset with black and other Hispanic people who are American for not standing up for them, I guess. But I think most black people realize that we get impacted first, and then most Hispanics are like the ones who are here, Americans are like, well, I'm from here. I don't have an allegiance to your country, and I don't know why you want me to over mine. And there's a weird thing that's happening where liberals are mostly white liberals, and there's some black liberals, but most of the people who are on that side are encouraging violence or fighting. They're not going to be specific, obviously, to that, but they're fighting, and I'm seeing more and more illegals doing crazy stuff to ICE, and so that's what I wanted to cover today. The title is "The Boldness of Illegal Aliens Increases as Liberals Encourage Fighting," whatever that means, ICE, and more lawlessness. We saw during their protests, rallies, whatever those were, when the No Kings rallies, where they're holding up their flags, and it's like, all right, you're in this country. What are you doing? Go back if you're so proud of where you're from. And yeah, I just wanted to cover this. So let's get to that. 1 second. Let's do this. All right, here we go. Actually, let me go back to the very beginning because this is important. So this person, I don't know who she is. Some of you guys may know who she is. Her name is Tatiana Martinez. She's an illegal alien residing in LA who built a career on social media by doxing ICE agents and directing her followers to harass them and disrupt their arrests. She has now been arrested herself. Apparently, this is on TikTok. But again, how bold do you have to be an illegal alien encouraging people in this country to dox, or she's doxing, but to disrupt and essentially attack ICE agents? You got to be bold, or you think you're invincible. I don't know what she's thinking, but it's not. It didn't end well. So this is her right here. Who are these people who always try to jump in while something like this is happening? They have no idea what's going on. They just want to jump in. Hey, what are you doing? Who are these people, these heroes? I've always wondered that, like, man, you better mind your business. You about to end up on the floor like her. I mean, I've never understood why people jump in and try to be heroes. And they automatically assume the person like her is innocent. Which, I mean, I guess according to the law she is, but let her fight that fight. Let her fight that in court. I've never understood why people jump in and try to insert themselves in other people's stuff. Same here, Lou. I don't want to be the person trying to defend somebody who's trying to go at police. That ain't me. I would rather find out, that the person was innocent and won a lawsuit or whatever, but not me. I run. Exactly. Shortly from Mexico, wanted for burglary, this guy thought it was a good idea to taunt the Border Patrol agents with a machete. Again, they're here, not supposed to be here. And it feels like they're getting more and more emboldened. I want to know what he thought was going to happen, or is this just what he does in his country? Well, then,
Cross the street! On the ground now! Stop moving!
I ain't trying to get pulled over like that. I don't know how he thought it could end any other way. Again, maybe that's what they do where he was from. I guess that guy was from Mexico. These two, this is really interesting. And let me know if you guys can read this. I'm going to make this one a little bit bigger because there's captions on the bottom. This is wild. So I didn't do the whole story. I actually got this off of Melanie King, and I put it in the description of the whole video. But from Melanie King's her main channel, she's got like 900,000 subscribers. But she went over this incident, and it's crazy because this lady here just got arrested for boosting, and this is what I was talking about on my last live when I went off. I went on a little tangent about retail theft and stuff like that, but this is a perfect example. She was boosting with her sister. They both lied and said that they were alone. They had these devices that help you take security things off of. They're like magnets, and they help you take security tools off of product. They demagnetize, and then they're able to remove stuff without the anti-theft thing going off at the front door. This was at a Ross. Both of these women were caught. And let me know if you can see the captions. If not, I can read it because it's wild. What they're saying is crazy. So she was caught first. The other lady was still in the store.
Chetuma, está loca, le dije que no nos viniéramos a meter para acá con Chetumare. Le dije que no nos viniéramos a meter para acá con Chetumare.
Can you see the captions at the bottom? Can you let me know if you can see the captions at the bottom? If not, I don't have an issue reading. It's not like it's what she's saying right now isn't as big of a deal as what the next person says. But this is, again, talking about the boldness. They're getting this from somewhere. Can somebody let me know? Okay, captions are clear. Perfect, so I don't have to read all of them.
Oigo una pregunta. ¿En la cárcel no salimos de la cárcel hoy día?
Puede ser que no, depende que ustedes hablan con el juez.
Ya, pero escúchame, ¿lo van a dar fianza, así que hay que pagar cash?
Oh, veo. Está hablando de veo.
Sí.
No.
¿Fianza no? ¿Por qué?
Pues depende en lo que hablan, depende en qué el juez hace decisión.
El juez decide eso.
Ya, mira, escúchame, quiero que me escuches tú. Yo tengo orden de arresto.
Aquí justo en Charlotte.
Sí. No, si esto no es Charlotte, Orlando.
El Charlotte
No.
está diciendo.
No. Mira, si le pregunté
todo. A mí me dijo que era Charlotte aquí, pues.
No, yo ya pregunté.
Ya, estos problemas, ¿qué me dicen Charlotte a mí?
No, el lote. Los van a mí no me van a darme la libertad, me van a dejarme ahí porque tengo orden de arresto. Pero mañana te van a darte, hoy día o mañana te van a darte la libertad, sí o sí.
So she's telling her they're going to let you go, but I got a warrant, so I'm going to have to deal with some stuff. Yeah, Jay, this is crazy.
Te la tienen que dártela porque no te pueden
They will
tener
release
en cana,
you.
porque tú no tenés delito aquí y por eso por la evidencia no pueden tenerte en cana. Y vos,
¿Dónde te casaron?
afuera, en la camioneta y a vos.
A mí yo voy caminando, de repente este pasa por el lado mío, el buen que venía, pasa por el lado mío y dije, no, me pondré la guata, empecé.
So she told her they can't do anything to you. They can't lock you up. You've never done anything before, or at least she's never been caught doing it before. How does she know this stuff? She's not from here. She's an illegal alien. How does she know this? That just shows you either how much they're boosting or she's been taught by somebody. So she's telling her, I got caught outside. The other one got caught inside. So she's just explaining. This is insane.
¿Sabes? Cuando me dice que pare, conche tu madre, el viejo culiado venía sabiéndonos
Del bullying.
del Burlington, weón.
Oiga, pero dígame la verdad, que a los otros no nos dan así como para pagar plata, cash.
La verdad, ustedes se van a ir para atrás a Argentina.
¿Deportar?
Te lo están poniendo un detainer, se llama.
¿Un hall de migración? Pero a usted ahora lo lleva a migración.
¿Ah?
¿Lo lleva a migración a los otros?
No, inmigración va a venir para ustedes.
¿Cuándo?
En poco tiempo.
¿Cuánto poco tiempo?
Puede ser mañana, puede ser el día después. No estoy seguro.
Ya, pero mire, yo tengo hijos aquí, po.
No sé qué decirte.
Cuando tenés hijos, ¿te deportan igual?
No, yo no trabajo por inmigración, estoy seguro de cómo ellos trabajan.
Por ahí no
Pero
tenemos fianza.
yo sé cuando ellos se meten en el negocio de nosotros, ellos sacan a la gente normalmente rápido, no se demoran mucho.
Y a los otros los pusieron hall de migración ya.
Ya, sí.
¿Y por qué tan rápido?
Porque en el tiempo que estamos hablando, estamos tratando de verificar la identificación de ustedes y parece que ellos quieren poner un detainer para ustedes, no sé por qué.
This is how it's supposed to be. When the police pull somebody over or catch somebody who's breaking the law, they run your papers and see who you are. And if you ping, like these two women ping, they're apparently from Argentina illegally. He's telling her, "You're about to get deported." And she says, "I have a kid." This right here is a perfect example of why people on the right, whether they be Republicans, conservatives, or people like me who are just on the right, do not like the anchor baby laws, which is an illegal alien comes here, has a baby, and now they get to stay here because the baby is an American citizen. She knew what she was doing. She's clearly navigating the law. So as soon as you get caught, your first response is, "I have a kid. You can't deport me. I have a kid." Again, why does she even know this? And if she has a kid, why is she out boosting? They're stealing stuff. They have those tools. You can purchase them, but I think they're a felony. If they're not a felony, they're like a class 1 misdemeanor. You're not supposed to have those tools on you. When you go into a retail store, if you have one of those, you get caught stealing, you're in real trouble. It's not a normal theft because that lumps you in with ORC. The organized retail crime is not a joke. I talked about this on my last live. These people steal so much that all of the major retailers are in a kind of like an offline social media where all they do is talk about these people because they fill warehouses up with product from retailers. They lose tens of millions of dollars a year because of people like her. The question is, why is she doing this if she's not even supposed to be here? These are the ones everyone's talking about when they say, get them out. Get them out. So she gets caught doing something, and the first thing she does is try to use her kid.
Okay. Voy a explicarte por qué te están sacando del país.
Ya, pero yo tengo un hijo, tengo familia aquí, tengo hijos, no pueden deportarme, po.
You can't deport me.
No sé si te pueden deportar la familia, pero a ti sí te pueden sacar del país.
Y mi hijo, yo no puedo ser deportada porque mi hijo.
See, she just said it again. I can't be deported. I have a kid. I have family. I'm anchored here because I have an American citizen son. In a case like this, now, if they were just, jaywalking, let them go. I don't really care. But they were literally committing a felony or felonies, multiple. And her response is, "Well, I got a kid, so you can't do anything to me." That's insanity. It's insanity. This is a perfect example of why that they need to do something about that law. If you commit a felony and you have an American citizen child, you have the option now to take the child with you, or I hope you have family that's legal that you can give the child to. But you are committing crimes here. You do not belong here in the first place. I don't want to hear that you have an American citizen child. Cool, they can stay. They can come back whenever they're able to come back. You got to go.
¿Cómo no puedo hacerlo si yo quiero que mi hijo también lo deporten?
Tu hijo nació aquí en los
Sí,
Estados
es americano, americano.
See?
No, no van a sacar un hijo de
¿Y cómo yo voy a dejar a mi hijo aquí?
no sé si puede llevarlo con.
So now she's saying, well, what am I supposed to do? Well, how about you don't break laws and you don't end up in this situation? That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to be thinking about your kid before you do felonies and commit felonies. She's telling exactly. She's telling him. She's not asking him. She knows the laws. I have a kid. You can't deport me. Well, you talk to ICE tomorrow and we'll see. He said by tomorrow or by Wednesday, whatever day this is, you're gone. And he's saying, I don't know, you can take him too. I don't know why you're telling me. You're the one stealing. You're the one boosting. It's wild that these people know these laws so well that she's telling the police what they can and can't do. She shouldn't know this. She shouldn't be a criminal and she shouldn't be here. The fact that she knows this and is a criminal and is here is a problem, a big problem, because they're navigating the laws and telling police officers what they can and can't do. If this were a sanctuary city, these police would not be able to communicate like this because they're literally prevented. They're told that they cannot communicate with ICE, even if the people that they're arresting get pinged for being illegal. So in this situation, I think they said North Carolina, they will report or they communicate with ICE and they say, hey, we just got this person. And she's got a warrant. And she's still bold enough to say, my kid's American. I found a loophole. Nah, we're about to get rid of you.
Pero no te ven seguro en eso.
Mire, es que tengo unas curiosidades. Para que usted es el único que sabe hablar español. Aquí ahora que los tengan aquí, a los otros igual tenemos posibilidad de que los suelten o no. No.
Ya, como ustedes ya se van a deportar, ya no van a salir de aquí.
Pero ¿cómo sabe usted que tenemos la deportación?
Porque ya inmigración nos llamó a nosotros.
Inmigración ya lo llamó a ustedes. Y
See, she's tripping. So she's probably been doing this for a long time. And maybe not during Trump's administration. They already called you? Like, how do they know how do they know? Because Trump made it a rule that we need to be communicating. And that state, I don't know if they just started or maybe because she's from Orlando, even though I know Orlando cooperates. So whatever she's doing, wherever she's doing, these people travel. She did not expect that ICE would be in communication with the police. And it's her fault. But she's a criminal. She needs to go. And she's trying to use a kid. She didn't say how old the kid was. But either way, bye.
Supuestamente, ¿cuándo viene migración?
Puede ser mañana, puede ser el día después. No estoy seguro, pero no van a poder salir de la cárcel.
Y no nos van a dar ninguna fianza, luego
Not
que se da
gonna run.
fianza.
Ya cuando en migración se ponen en el negocio,
Ya.
ya eso está confirmado.
Ya, entonces nosotros nos vamos a un juicio mañana.
Sí, van a poder hablar con el
juez.
Sí,
Ya.
con el juez primero y después de eso van a bregar con inmigración.
And I did a live on judges, and I did a video or two on judges who were supposed to be immigration judges. One of the judges caught somebody like this, and they were in court, and ICE came because this is what they do. They wait till you talk to the judge, and then you got to deal with them. The judge led the people out of the courtroom through a back door. And now that judge, I don't know what happened. I'm going to follow up on that. But that judge got arrested because you can't do that. She led this guy who was clearly an illegal alien. That's why he was in court. He had violated our laws before. He had multiple arrests and felonies. And instead of her allowing ICE to do their job, she let him out the back door. And then the ICE agents caught him, and he's running across the street trying to get away. She thinks she's going to have an opportunity somewhere to get away. He's telling her, no. When you're done with the judge, then you're going to deal with ICE. They put a hold on you. You can't leave the jail or the courthouse until they see you. And then they can deal with you. And we know what's going to happen to her because it's what needs to happen to her. We can't have people like this running around. It makes no sense. And then trying to use her children or kid, in this case, to allow her to just stay and keep doing this. Clearly, she keeps doing this. She has a warrant already in this country as an illegal. Why is she here? How many laws does she have to break? But depending on the city or state, they're going to say, it's not that. It's not violent crime. Let them do it. No, we can't do this.
Con migración. Eso va a ser mañana.
Puede ser.
¿El juicio mañana es?
Sí, pues porque tiene que...
No, el juicio puede ser que van a hablar para hacer el día de corte de juicio y después de eso, porque ustedes van a tener que quedarse aquí por los cargos y después de eso, inmigración van a venir. Primero tienen que bregar con los...
Ya, ¿y los cargos de los otros son muy graves o no? La verdad, dígame la verdad.
Son diferentes niveles de crimen. Yo creo que el crimen que ustedes hicieron es más... No, es más alto.
She said they aren't bad. No, they're felons. Sorry. She's still trying to figure out, is there any way I can get bail so I can run like I did in Orlando?
Felony, ya.
Los felonies son más altos que los misdemeanors. Los misdemeanors son cosas de 60 días en la cárcel y ya. Pero los felonies se pueden ser años. Son para años.
No, pero sí, pero mire. No, me meta miedo si yo sé. Pero es un robo de una tienda. No dañamos a nadie, no le pegamos a nadie.
Look at her. We didn't hurt anybody. We didn't hit anybody. We just robbed the store. So those devices you're taking something by force. So there's no way you can say, oh my gosh, I was going to buy this. No, you removed the security device on purpose. You're taking it by force. So her idea, this is what she's describing is called strong arm robbery. And strong arm robbery is just forcing your way past a clerk or whatever, or whoever's trying to detain you. If you touch them at all, it's strong arm robbery. It's not, you just elevate it from regular theft, misdemeanor. It could even be petty theft to strong arm robbery. I don't care if you got a pack of gum. You cannot force your way past somebody. So she's like, well, hey, we didn't do anything. We didn't hit anybody. We're just stealing. Why can't we steal? Well, first of all, you're an illegal alien. You're not supposed to be here. Second of all, you're not supposed to steal. Not in this country. It's not a good thing. In most countries, it's not a good thing. I don't know about Argentina. Maybe this is a normal thing for you, but it doesn't matter if you didn't hit anybody, lady. Who do you think you are?
Nadie, no hicimos escándalo.
We didn't make a scene.
Las herramientas que ustedes tienen encima.
Una, pero nada más.
Los dos.
¿Cuáles dos?
Porque ella tiene uno que ella votó. Solo por tener eso son un felony.
No, si sé lo que es felony, mire. Yo entiendo lo que es felony, pero por felony tú te vas en libertad igual para la calle.
See? Yeah, but with a felony, you can still be released. How does she know? How does she know? She's like, no, I know what a felony is, but with a felony, you could still be released. That's probably what I would love to see what her warrant was. But the warrant is clearly because she didn't show up to court. And now she's in another state, most likely doing something similar. So she knows the rules and she's trying to figure out, how am I going to get out of this? She doesn't even seem too concerned because she seems like she's sure she's going to get out of this. Okay.
Te va por felony igual te va a ir para la calle, po.
Look at her.
O sea,
te pudiste para tu casa por felony.
Look at her.
No, ya como inmigración ya.
Se metió, ya.
Si los cargos de los cargos criminales caen, ya dicen que ay no, ellos no hicieron nada y quitan los cargos, inmigración ya pusieron un
hold.
Ajá.
Migración puso un hold de migración para nosotros.
Sí.
Yes,
ustedes se van a deportar. No.
You will be deported. They won't let you go. You got caught again, because there's definitely another time. And yeah, she's got to know somebody who studied those laws. Or she's just gotten away with it so many times that she's worked the system. Because again, if you have a warrant, you've already gotten caught with something, and now the judge is saying, we need this person here. Or you were implicated in something and the judge is saying, we need to talk to this person, and they got a warrant out for you. So she was either in hiding or running, or she didn't go to court when she was supposed to go to court. But the best part is right there, they won't let you go. We're in 2025. Sorry. But just the boldness and how she's just telling the police, no, you can get away with a felony and still walk. How do you know? Have you done it before? That's what it sounds like. And I don't understand how somebody who's not supposed to be here, because we were always told, and I know everybody here has heard this. Anybody who watches in the future has heard this. Well, these people are hiding in the shadows and they don't want to come forward because they don't want to get in trouble. But they're just, they're law-abiding citizens. Well, this lady is not only not hiding in the shadows, but she's openly stealing and committing a felony and knows the laws and has clearly dealt with police because she's telling them what their job is. Which one is it? Are they scared to come forward and call the police when they see a crime? Or are some of them actually committing crimes? Clearly, this one is actually committing.
No van a dejar que ustedes se van.
A white powder substance was discovered in a New York ICE enforcement and removal operations center. Multiple reports said several envelopes containing the powder prompted a temporary evacuation. This is insane. The ICE facility at 26 Federal Plaza in Lower Manhattan had multiple agencies respond on site within minutes. FBI, fire department, police hazmat teams arrived and eventually determined that the substance was just boric acid. Boric acid is like roach powder, bug powder, spiders. It kills those things. The FBI is still investigating the letters and cautioned that sending threatening letters, even with harmless substances, is a very serious crime. So somebody thought it would be a good idea to send letters with powder in them. This used to happen. I think I don't remember if they actually were poisonous, but we've seen this before. Was it? I'm trying to remember. This happened like in the 90s where they started. Somebody was sending a bunch of mail with powder in them. And they were trying to say that they were like some kind of poison. I don't remember exactly what the poison was, but they're doing this now to ICE facilities. So there's a clear agenda here. Again, they're getting bold. And that could also be seen as desperation. Anthrax. Yes, thank you, Lou. Thank you, Lou. It was anthrax. Somebody was sending anthrax to a bunch of law enforcement, federal agencies and local police departments. I don't even know if they caught most of the people who were doing it. I know they caught at least a couple because I remember it being on the news like anthrax. I didn't know what it was, but apparently it's very, very deadly.
Just outside of Let
me turn this back up. So Newsom was in LA, and that's where most of the protests were, and they had to send the National Guard to protect the federal building. Newsom was in LA apparently, and ICE, I guess, was just showing we're still going to keep doing our job, and they haven't stopped. It's awesome.
Downtown LA venue where Governor Gavin Newsom was actually holding a press conference today. And it appears that those Border Patrol agents are making arrests, illegal immigrants that I don't know if they were at this press conference, if they were in the area, but this is a very, as John put it when we first saw this video, a very in-your-face way to let, Democrats know that you are going to do your job, that you're going to carry out these Trump policies.
Do you support allowing illegal aliens to obtain driver's licenses? Just yes or no?
So, and this is Chicago's very own Mayor Johnson. Hold on 1 second. Sorry. My daughter just got home. 1 second. All right. Sorry. My daughter just got home. She was loud. Like, what are you doing? I had to text her because she didn't hear me calling her because she's busy. Whatever she's doing. Anyway, this is Chicago's own Mayor Johnson. He's a simp. He is a beta. He is weak. And he is one of these liberals who enables what we just saw in the city of Chicago, unfortunately. And this is Brandon Hill. I think his name is Brandon Hill. He's out of Texas. He's representative out of Texas. And he's questioning this loser of a mayor about what he's promoting and probably trying to just figure out why he's doing it. But he wanted, more importantly, to get it on the record and congressional record that this man is breaking the law. Play.
The city of Chicago has been a welcoming city for over 40 years.
I'll take that as a yes. Next question.
And that's the policy that we will hold to.
Do you support tax dollars subsidizing or paying for the health care of illegal aliens?
Healthcare.
I support investments in all residents of the people of Chicago, and that's what I do.
That's a yes as well. Do you support free or reduced college for illegal aliens?
Again, I support the investments of all residents of the people of Chicago.
Take that as a yes. Next question. Do you support allowing non-citizens to vote in local elections?
Again, I'm not over the jurisdiction of that type of law, but again, I'm committed to investing in all residents of the people of Chicago.
I'll take that as a yes. I've got an article from the Chicago Sun-Times, and I'll quote here briefly. Johnson proposed, among other things, that all residents, regardless of citizenship status, be able to vote for Chicago Board of Education members. Next question. Your website states, and this is your campaign website, quote, "I will not stop fighting until abortion access is completely secure for people all over the country," end quote. Yes or no, do you support taxpayer-funded abortions for illegal aliens?
So what's interesting is over the last few weeks, they've been talking about how Chicago is broke and bankrupt. And somehow this guy doesn't realize or doesn't care that this is clearly one of the reasons. You're paying for abortions for illegals. You want free health care for all illegals. Everybody in Chicago doesn't even have free health care, but he wants it for illegals. He wants them to be able to vote. So they can say, well, you know, Brandon Johnson is the one who allowed me to stay here, so I'm going to vote for him. Why do you think they're broke? He also wants driver's licenses for them. It's insanity. It really is. But then they'll be the ones to complain, and Chicagoans will keep voting further and further leftist in, because Lori Lightfoot should have been enough, but apparently it wasn't, because they brought in somebody who's even further to the left than her. I got family members who voted for this guy. Like, why? Why would you do that?
Support the reproductive rights of all people.
That is a yes as well. Your mayoral transition website mentioned support for creating a Chicago Board of Education non-citizen advisory board. Again, yes or no, do you support appointing non-citizens to government advisory boards?
So why not? If you're going to go as far as this dude, why not have illegals in official positions of power and government in this country? I don't know the impeachment process, but I don't understand why Chicago hasn't said, whoa, what are you doing, dude? And the first two communities that are going to be impacted are Hispanic communities and Black communities, which is why we started voting against this stuff. And they get mad at us. Well, we stood up for Black people. Oh, okay, I don't want to hear this, dude. You're not even a citizen. You're not supposed to be here. The people who stood up for us were at least citizens. Why would we support giving away all this free stuff to illegals and giving them free school, free housing, free everything? Why would we support that when that can go towards our kids and our families? It's never made sense. It never will. But this is what they advocate for. And this is the mayor of the third largest city in the country.
I was invited here today to discuss welcoming cities.
Yes or no?
I was invited here to discuss welcoming cities.
This is a yes or no
If you're
question.
interested in asking me
You're not
questions
gonna
about the
fill, but
welcoming
I'll
city,
take that as a
I'm
yes.
happy to
We're gonna
answer those
move on.
questions.
No, we're going to move on.
Jesus was undocumented. Let me just say that again and let that sink in for just a moment. The very person we're celebrating today, the very one in whom we worship, was undocumented.
Look at that, right? As soon as Lester comes in, The God talk comes in. This dude is insane. First of all, he's tax exempt. He shouldn't even be talking like this. But he's going to go down a laundry list of liberal causes, and he's preaching this in a church. I don't know what kind of church. I don't care, because I would never be caught in one of these, because this dude is insane. But as soon as Lester comes in, a big cross, and some hippie wannabe pastor is preaching about Jesus being an illegal immigrant. And they're peddling this stuff. They're enabling this stuff. They're encouraging it. They're celebrating. They're tying it to God.
Jesus was a refugee. Jesus knew what it was to flee in fear and to live as a stranger in a strange land. Jesus was that person. If Jesus came today in flesh and blood, would we even let him in? Would we let him cross our borders? Would we let him into our synagogues and sanctuaries? Or would he be met with a wall, a cage, or a flight out of the country to El Salvador?
So you're telling
That dude needs to be put in a cage. That dude's insane. He's no pastor or whatever he claims to be. He shouldn't be getting any kind of federal funding. If he is, or he should. You can't be tax exempt and be promoting politics like that. That's insanity. Jesus is an illegal alien now? So here's where it starts getting bad. Between 30 and 60% of all women and girls crossing through the southern border get SAID, sexual, I'm giving a pause, abuse, some kind of abuse. And they're going to talk about that here, but they're talking about boys here also. So here's where those liberals who, like that hippie pastor or whatever he's supposed to be, you don't care about this? You're okay with this? You're promoting it from a pulpit. You have no issue with this. So listen to what these people are talking about, because this is on the congressional floor.
telling this committee that the Biden administration, while they were letting all of these unaccompanied minors into the country, and as we've talked about today, they weren't keeping track of them, they issued these kids a hotline that they could call if they had trouble with the sponsor family that they were put with. And you're saying that 65,000 calls to this hotline designated to protect these kids went unanswered? Is that?
You imagine if 65,000 911 calls went unanswered, what would happen in a city? There were children sent to families, and they said, hey, if anything funny happens, call this number and we'll be there for you. We'll help you. We'll get you. We'll save you. 65,000 calls came in unanswered. No response. Just a free-for-all. And they're all minors. So they're not even supposed to be here, first of all. Not me, they take them in, spread them out through the country, and allow them to be attacked and allow them to be victims. This is what that pastor was talking about. Because they don't care about that stuff. They just care about votes. They don't care about the implications of what they do. 65,000 kids called a hotline that's supposed to be to help them in cases of emergency. And no one picked up. Not a one.
Is that what you're telling this committee?
Yes, sir. One case where a child's call was reporting that grown men were coming into his room at night and they were touching him. Nothing happened with that call. That call went unanswered until this administration took office, went through those 65,000 calls, made follow-ups, conducted a welfare check, and now that child has been rescued and that sponsor has been arrested. These are the safeguards that were put in place, but accountability and oversight was not had.
How long was that sponsor doing this to that kid or other kids? We don't know. No one was answering their calls. How do you get on that list to sponsor an illegal? Or is there a background? Is there anything? Do you guys do anything? Does the government do anything to ensure that these kids are safe? Because I brought it up on, I don't think it was my last live, but these perverts will go where there are children. They're going to go to schools. They're going to go to daycares. In this case, they're going to go to immigration centers because there's not even parents there. Ooh, these creeps. This is what the Boy Scouts, church. This is where they go. That's what they're predators. That's what they do. Lions go where their prey is, and they just lay there and wait until they get hungry. That's what these people do. 65,000 calls went unanswered. And there's supposed to be oversight. So this is an oversight committee, but nobody did anything in the last administration. So there was 4 years of these kinds of things happening. And there's no way to tell how many kids were abused. There's no way to know because they weren't even answering the phone.
I said that it was hard, it was easier to get a child, yes, than to adopt a dog. You actually had to provide more paperwork to adopt a pet from a pet shelter than you did to sponsor a child.
So it's easier to adopt a pet. I'm sorry, it's easier to get one of these kids than to adopt a pet. You had to show more paperwork to get a pet, a dog or a cat, than to get a human being, a kid. They just created thousands of victims. But then people on the left will say, no, 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 we need them to pick our crops. We need them to clean your toilet. We need them to cook your food and watch your kids. Well, that's part of it. But what about the 65,000 unanswered calls to all these children? There were, this is off topic, or it's not off topic, but this is, I didn't plan this. 1 second. But you can read that caption. I'm not going to read that out loud. I'm just going to leave it there for a second. How many? Let's see this. But that caption right there tells its own story. Illegal alien comes here. We don't know who he is, of course. Look what he does. Well, yeah, but most of them are good. Okay, what about those? What about this? What are we talking about? I want you to read this. Share the screen. And I just looked it up because I know a lot of stuff. It's all up there. But to get specifics and to actually be able to show you guys, I Googled it. But clearly I knew it because I knew exactly what to Google. I want you to look at this number. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. All right. Estimates regarding the number of unaccompanied minor children who are unaccounted for or considered missing, with some sources reporting figures exceeding 300,000. 300,000 minors unaccompanied that came into this country illegally, poof, gone. We don't know where they are. And it says this issue is complex and debated with various perspectives and the meaning of the numbers. I don't care what the number means. I know what the number says. So say some of these are administrative, right? And we don't know which sponsor went where. Say it's 200,000. Say we found 100,000. We're talking about hundreds of thousands of unaccompanied illegal alien minors gone. We don't know where they are. We don't even know if they're still here. They could have been shipped off to another country. This is modern day slavery. So every time these liberals, these leftists, talk about how great it is, we're the greatest country in the world and we need to let these people in so they can work. We're not talking about this. So we let in 2 million, 300,000 kids. That's no big deal to them, because all they see is, well, who's going to pick the corn? And these are the ones who say that they're anti-corporation and all that, but they're willing to sacrifice literally hundreds of thousands of human beings so that our crops can get picked and tended to, so that these kids can be just left alone with who knows who. We don't know where. There's no way to tell. They could be safe. I don't know, I guess. My mind tends to go to, if you lose something, it typically doesn't end up better off. If I lost my watch, somebody's going to get it. Are they going to sell it? What are they going to do with it? I don't know. But we're talking about human beings here. Kids, minors. 300,000 unaccounted for are considered missing. Some say it exceeds, some say it's not that many. It's hundreds of thousands. Either way it goes. So when people talk about the illegal immigrant issue, they only talk about the part that they want to talk about. They don't talk about the bad parts, the bad things that are going on, the criminals or the victims in this case. When they come across, they have bracelets, different color bracelets, and those bracelets, depending on which cartel gets them across the border, the southern border, that tells the cartel and the victim who how much money they owe. Okay, how are you going to pay that back? You're going to get a job and send back the money? Or are you going to commit crimes and get money? Hey, what's going on, KMC? Like, they have these color bracelets, so I'm just going to make it up. Red means you owe $5,000. How are you going to get the money? They still have control over you. They may put you on the street. They may put you on a corner. Okay, you're going to get us that money. You owe us. A lot of times they have the people back home under threat until they get their money. Or they're here, that whole Trende Aragua thing. They're enforcers. That's why they say they go straight to their own neighborhoods. They pray. They work for the cartels. So this dude's allowed to do what he's doing. 300,000 unaccompanied minors. We don't know where they are. But we need to allow more in. Why? You can't take care of the ones that you've allowed in already. We can't. We don't even know where they are. They're kids.
Do you agree that any undocumented Americans who commit crimes in the United States should be deported? I mean, on those 2 points first, are you broadly in agreement with what they've done?
Sure. Good to be back, Piers. I knew you were going to ask this question because I got it the last time I was here. So I have a little bit of a follow-up for you.
And yes, that's the same sissy from my last live video. How you doing, Miss Baker? Yep, that is how you enslave a person. Absolutely. Absolutely. And in this case, we have minors. Hundreds of thousands of minors. We have no idea what's happened to them. They could be shipped off to Saudi Arabia, shipped off all over the world in literal slavery. SEX slavery. We don't know. There's no way to tell. So now they're talking about ICE and they're talking about illegal immigration.
Look, I think that obviously the border was too open under past administrations, and we should need to have control over who's coming into the country and who's not. There was some progress on that actually in the last year. The Biden administration, Donald Trump as administration has advanced that further. I think having control of the border is something that makes sense. Deporting people that have committed other crimes, not just, we can discuss what we mean by crimes, but deporting people that have deported violent crimes, rather, as opposed to immigration crimes. Of course, we should deport people that have committed violent crimes. Here's the problem, though, which is why I just can't give him full credit. You don't actually want to be a country that nobody wants to come to, because that's where we're at now, where there are 0 border crossings, and that is actually not a good thing. I want to pull.
Yeah. So if you've allowed in 2 million a year for 4 years, minimum. That's a low ball number. You do want to stop, figure out what you have, and then reopen the borders. So again, what these leftists say is just let everybody can come in. We'll find out who they are in 6 to 8 months or to a year. When they go to court, we'll find out who they are and what their history is. You would never do that with your home. You would never rent a place to somebody and you've done no background on who they are and what they've done, if they can afford it. You don't do that. You find out before they come, which is why we have a process. If you want to fix a process, talk to your congressman. They're the ones who fix that. They write the laws. But what you can't do is just say, let them in, and you don't even know if they can afford it. Nobody lives their life like that. Nobody. But they want this entire country to do that.
Well, up here, the list of the countries with negative net migration. That could be us this year. We're going to have negative net migration, more people fleeing America than coming. Some of the other countries that have that: Syria, Venezuela, Ukraine in the middle of being invaded, Pakistan, Sudan, China. That's not what we want. A growing country wants people to want to come here. We want people to want to flee in communist countries to come to America. We're going to have negative population growth for the first time in this country. Other countries that have that: Russia, Cuba, Bulgaria. I don't aspire for America to be like Syria and China and Russia, where people don't want to go into their countries.
It's not that people don't want to go. It's that there's an over influx of people who want to be here. And we need to stop it so we can figure out who's already here and then start allowing people to come in an orderly fashion. That's it. Just wait in line. It's pretty simple. There are people to this point here. She said some of them have been here too long to not get legalized. Why would you be here 10 years and not consider maybe possibly becoming legal? At some point, like, who would want to live like that? Always wondering if you can get sent back. So Cuba's different. We had a policy called wet foot, and if you were able to get here, we would allow you to stay here, and that's because of what happened in under Castro. Let's see. Hold on. Let's see. Let me show you. So that's a little bit different. This is what KMC is talking about. Present. Let me move this over here so I can see it. And this goes back to Obama, but let me pull this up. So all the way up until 2017, let me make it a little bit bigger so you guys can see it. All the way up until 2017, we had a policy called wet foot, dry foot. And the immigration policy was if they can get here and step foot on American soil, we allowed them to stay here and go through the immigration process here and become legal. It's not what we do with anybody else, and there was a reason for that. They were fleeing Castro and his brother Raul, and it's just something that we came up with. She said stupid. Well, it was ended in 2017 by Obama. And now they're treated like anybody else. And I mean, whatever. I think that should have been done legislatively. I don't. There are some countries that when they leave, they have legitimate refugee status and they can claim asylum. They are. That's just what it is. Venezuela is one of them right now, which is why so many came here. The problem is, so did their gangs. And we weren't sorting through them because the gangs were coming here illegally while the other people were coming here legally. You have that right now, like he was saying with Ukraine. Palestinians are doing it into some countries. Most of those countries will not let them in. We saw this happen when we left Afghanistan. So there are legitimate causes for people to flee their country, and everybody knew what was going on with Castro. So that was allowed for a very long time, which is why parts of Miami turned into Little Havana. Let me pull that down. Sorry. That was just a side note. So what you saw was lawful. We'll put it that way. Even though they were coming here on boats and they were coming here illegally, as soon as they stepped foot, if they were able to make it, so if they got caught at sea, they were getting sent back. But if they made it here, they were allowed to stay here under that law, which is a very weird law, but it is what it is. Let me get rid of that. I don't want to. Why is it doing that? Get out of here. All right, got rid of that one. All right, so that's what that's all about. What did I miss? It was the wet foot, dry foot policy. Stupid wet foot. Yeah, it wasn't for so the Haiti thing happened way later, and Congress did not. They didn't act on that. The Clintons pretended like they were helping Haiti, and they robbed them blind. And that was around that time should have been when Congress acted, and that's just the reality of it. So unfortunately they didn't, and Haitians still have to sneak through Mexico or however they can get here if they can get away. But the Clintons took millions and millions and millions of dollars that were supposed to go to the Haitian people. Huge crime, no accountability.
We don't want to have a country that's fully locked down. And I disagree with Donald Trump's immigration policy across the board, because that's what's happening in this country. People are no longer coming here. It's not just the violent criminals that are being kept out. People that want to come, work hard, contribute to this country. That is what America has been founded on. That is, they pay lip service to that. They say we support legal immigration, but they're not allowing people into the country. We're going to have more people leaving America than coming for the first time in a while this year.
Can I please respond to that?
Dean Kane, I'll let you respond. I mean, the question I would have for you is, I think what's happened on the southern border is borderline, pun intended, miraculous. To go from millions of people in the Biden 4 years coming over every year illegally on the border to basically just a few thousand now, almost eliminating it completely, is a huge success for the Trump administration in a very short period of time. Big tick. I think that most Americans I've talked to are unanimous that they have no problem with undocumented people in the United States being deported if they commit a crime. Okay, so we can all agree on those things. But where I have a big problem with the further strategy of ICE, this just seems something so un-American about ICE going into places like Home Depot and grabbing people who may have been in the country for 10 years, who may have been contributing their taxes through gainful employment, contributing to society, maybe have kids that have been born in the United States. Grabbing those people and throwing them out of the country seems to be quite un-American to me for the reasons Tim articulated. And most of the polling I've seen suggests that at least 2/3, maybe more, of Americans agree that they think that's a step too far. How do you?
So this goes back to what KMC was saying. If you're here 10 years, okay, why are you here 10 years and it's never crossed your mind to be legalized? Like, you have time. Even when you get here illegally, the law is to go through a port of entry. Once you get there, you can say, hey, I'm claiming asylum. I'm a refugee from wherever you say you're from. And they'll say, okay, you come in, we'll give you a court date. These people did not do that. They've just been here 10 years. However they got here, they overstayed, whether it was on a visa. But at least we know those people, who they are. I don't really even have as big of an issue if somebody overstays a visa, because we know who they are. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been able to get a visa. But when somebody just sneaks across, we don't know who they are, they're dangerous. I don't care how long they've been here. I really don't. Well, then they have kids, and why are you doing all this? And you have not established that you're supposed to be here. You're just taking a risk, and you're playing with the lives of your whole family. You have kids, and you're willing to still allow them to be separated from you or be deported with you? That's on you. What kind of parent would do that? I don't understand that mindset. I really don't. And I don't feel sorry for that, because you had 10 years to say, you know what? I'm not going to go to work. I'm not going to go sit at Home Depot today and try to get picked up to do the hardest possible labor. And I'm going to go down to the immigration office and try to get my stuff in order. Like, why can't you do that? Because law-abiding citizens, they don't just snatch you up and deport you unless you're with a criminal. So what we're seeing now, we're seeing some people get snatched up that are just, they're not criminals. The problem is they've surrounded themselves with criminals. So if you're with Trende Aragua, or however you say that, Trende Aragua, I can't say that. If you're with a bunch of them and you're an illegal alien and they get scooped up, you shouldn't have been with them. I used to get scooped up because I was with idiots. I was an idiot for being with idiots. So in where I grew up, there was a gang. It's called GDs. That's all we hung around with. So when they would get scooped up, I get scooped up. We get picked up. If they're doing anything dumb, they get in trouble. I just get picked up with them. There have been times where I got taken and dropped off all the way on the east side of Chicago. So I had to walk home. miles and miles through the worst neighborhoods to get back to one of the worst neighborhoods in my neighborhood. I had to navigate through that, which is why I really like alleys. When I brought up in my last live, I talked about alleyways. They don't have those everywhere, but most people don't hang out in alleys. Just bums and crackheads hang out in alleys. So I would make my way back through certain neighborhoods because you're not supposed to be there, and work my way through alleys and gangways and just sneak my way back, get out of there. Only time people hung out in alleys is if they were playing basketball and they put a rim on one of the light poles or on a garage or something. But the point is, I was hanging out with the wrong people. So if I get scooped up, it's guilt by association. So a lot of these illegals are getting caught up. But why would you be with gangbangers and you're not even supposed to be here? You're putting yourself at risk. So when they get snatched up, I'm supposed to feel sorry for you? No, you knew who you were hanging with. Why were you hanging with them? Because they have way, way, way more to lose. Because they don't just get put in a jail cell for an hour like we would, where they're just saying, "Who are you?" Well, check. They would always check me out and say, "All right, he's good. Just let him go." Said that's hilarious because they used to drop us off on the wrong side. Yeah, they do that to us. Well, so I lived southwest in Chicago between 59th and 69th, and it's called Artesians by Western. So that's west. They would take the ones who weren't doing anything. So it would be me and maybe 3-4 other dudes. And we were just most likely playing basketball. And they would drop us off all the way on the east side, which is East Inglewood. Or it just drop us off way, way far. And if we didn't have money, which we very rarely did, we had to walk. We were used to walking anyway because we walk all over the city to play ball. But when they drop you off in a different neighborhood, man, it's dangerous. They knew what they were doing. They didn't care. But anyway, good to see other people have gone through that. But yeah, so here's another great point. Great point. These are the same people that change their identity. They'll use your identity. You look at their ID. Who are you? I'm Lester. I'm the YouTube small G God. You gotta take that capital off, man. But my name's Lester. Oh, really? Okay. What's your last name? Baker. Okay, cool. So they've stolen two people's identity to come up with their own. They're using somebody's social, legitimate social. Apparently, the left doesn't see that as a big deal. Have that happen to you, because I have a sister that happened to, and I have a brother that happened to. Have that happen to you and see how good that feels as an American citizen to be told, "Hey, you're not supposed to even be in the country." It's like, whoa, no, because they think you stole it. Now you got to report it, and then you got to see all these things that were run up in your name, credit cards, God knows what else, apartments rented, houses, and you're just sitting there. You don't even know what any of that is. You had no idea your social was stolen. Millions of social security numbers get stolen. It's the number one crime in the country. It's been for a while. It's identity theft. It's not just people taking credit cards. It's people taking your identity, your whole identity, and selling it to somebody. And not only that, they'll use Lester's social, and 100 people will use it for work. And now you're sitting there, your credit is destroyed, and it takes years to get that stuff off. You got to prove that you're you. You know how crazy that is, that you got to prove that you're you because somebody somewhere is pretending to be you, and they're not even supposed to be here, and they're doing God knows what with your name. These are all crimes, and the left doesn't believe that they're that bad. That's okay. But let them have their identity stolen and watch how quick their tune changes.
Feel about that? I mean, are you comfortable with Home Depot being raided by ICE and people
Absolutely.
like that who've not committed crimes other than being in the country undocumented, being deported?
Well, let me ask you this question, Piers. What if you did?
But so sorry. To say that they've not committed any other crime, if they're using a social that's not theirs, that is a bad crime. They're using it to get work somewhere else. Somebody's running your social somewhere else. And they're now working under your name, and they're taking care of their family under your name. You see a Mexican dude who doesn't speak any English, and his name's Carlton Johnson. And it's like, wait a minute. You do not look like a Carlton Johnson. Like, what is this? Yeah. By the time you find out these people have gotten homes for 6 of their family members who are all illegal, but the homes are legal under you, but you can't have the homes. It doesn't make sense. I had an uncle, he was a drunk and a drug addict. And he used to sell his social security number. I don't know how much they gave him, but he used to sell his social security number. He's gone now, so it don't matter. But he would go get a new card and then sell it. So he can get drugs or alcohol or whatever he was. That dude. Oh God. But there's a whole underground black market of identities. Some people willingly, like him, but most people they're not willing to do that. What should they do? What's a solution for that? I would be raiding businesses, legit raiding them. Now I wouldn't just go in, with guns and all that. I would just walk into the HR office and say, "Hey, I need to see a list of all your employees," and then run them. Make sure they're legit. Don't store the information because Americans would not want that. But you got to do that. You have to. Because how do you know all the employees in that building are legal? They're not even supposed to be here. Now Lou tries to go file his taxes and they're like, "You made $400,000 and then what are you talking about?" And you find out your social is spread out across the country. How did that happen? A lot of businesses don't fully do e-verify. They just verify that you have a social. They don't verify the actual social, and they don't match it up with the information. Don't ask how I know this. I just know it happens. They just wanted to get you through onboarding. And they're using other people's information, and it's wrong.
That as a citizen in Europe, if I went to Europe and I stayed there and I was there for 20 years and I was undocumented, what would happen to me? I've had a home in Spain for 25 years.
That would be that.
I follow the immigration laws in Spain. I get stopped. I get stopped if I stay longer than 60 days in a 180-day period. All kinds of issues happen, and that happens in every single country. But let me get back to something real quick that Tim said, and I'll address that. The United States is the most immigrant-friendly, by far, country on this planet. We have over 50 million immigrants. Tim, just look at the numbers. More than the next 4 countries combined. We also let in 1 million people legally every single year. I don't think we really disagree that much. I'm sorry if you said something I couldn't hear it.
But it's like not anymore. That's not what we're doing now under Donald Trump. I'm glad you like it, that immigrants are welcomed here, but right now we're going to have negative net migration.
Well, you're predicting something that isn't quite there. I'm sorry. I don't know if I was talking over you. I apologize.
Well, so he's an idiot. It's negative net migration because you're getting rid of illegal immigrants. And this is why they always call them migrants. They want to lump them in the same numbers. This is why they want to put them on the census so they can count them and say, well, we'll just make up a number. There's 300,000 people in this district on the north side of Houston. We need more representatives. It's all politics. That's what it is. Everything goes back to politics. You give me a problem in this country, and I can tell you why it's related to politics. They're trying to beef up their numbers, which is why they keep trying to put these people on the census everywhere. And which is why people on the right are pushing against it. Like, they're not supposed to be here. Why are we counting them? So you can get money to take care of them? No, we can't do this. So what he's saying is, well, we're going to have negative net migration, which means we're going to have less people coming into the country than we've had the year before, or whatever. So are we talking about legal migration, or are we just talking about overall? Illegals, if you add them in it, they're not supposed to be here. Why are you counting that? I don't understand why you're counting that. And if you compare it to Biden's administration, the last 4 years, it has to be negative because he let so many in.
I'll continue.
Oh yeah. So yeah. Will we have negative net migration? Well, it depends. If you're gonna, negative compared to last year under the Biden administration, our immigration system, I think we can both agree on this, is broken, and Congress needs to write laws to fix it. There should be, we want immigrants here in the United States, but we don't want people to be here illegal, and we don't want people crossing the border completely unvetted. And that's the big issue that was going on for the last 4 years.
But Dean, let me ask you, where do you draw the line?
Well, that's not for me to make that policy. That's up to Director Lyons and Congress. I mean, these are things that Congress should be dealing with, and they should make those laws, and then our ICE agents will dutifully perform those duties. I mean, they'll take care of whatever the law.
You must have an opinion. You must have an opinion where that line should be drawn, because we all agree that the southern border being closed is a good thing. We all three of us agree that people who commit crimes when they're in the country undocumented, crimes that are not related to their immigration status, that they should be deported. So we've got broad agreement on those two big planks of the policy. The issue that Tim and I have is that we do not believe that just going into Home Depot and grabbing anyone who's undocumented is a particularly American thing to do.
So that's not where we are right now. Here's what I think is going to happen. Right now, we're going after just criminals. And by criminals, anybody who's committing crimes on top of just coming here illegally, which is a crime. I don't know why they always dismiss it like that. What I think is going to happen is we're going to get these criminals gone, and then we're going to figure out a way to vet the illegals who are here, who aren't doing illegal things. I don't agree with that. I think they all need to go and get back in line. That's what I think needs to happen. We would do it in a lunch line. I don't know why we won't do it when we're talking about people coming into our home. You're not going to just let anybody in your home, and that's what they're talking about. Well, yeah, but they're nice people. Okay, well then put them in your basement. You don't know who they are. What do you mean they're nice people? How do you know? We don't know who they are. How can you possibly know what their intent is? So I would deport everybody. I would do the criminals first, and then start figuring out how to get rid of the other people. But I think once they get rid of the majority of the criminals, they're gonna start looking at people on an individual basis, make them go to court, make them register, and then see who's legitimately here just to work. And then they're probably going to give them a path. I don't agree with it, but that's still better than having a bunch of people here who we don't know who they are. Because the number is between 15 and 18 million people that are supposed to be here, and we don't know who they are. That makes no sense to me. That's more than most states. That's a lot of people. And I don't agree with it. But I think that's what's going to happen. And I wouldn't cry about it. I wouldn't be complaining about it. I just wouldn't agree with it. But right now, they're trying to tie the bad ones with the good ones and say, well, we should just leave them all because we don't want to bother the good ones. No, you can't do that. You can't.
If they've been in the country for a long period of time and built lives in America and are contributing to society and paying taxes and so on. So my question...
They're not paying taxes. I hate when they say this. I hate it. They're paying consumption taxes. Meaning like, okay, so when they get gas, yes, they're paying taxes. When they go to the store, yeah, if it's a state with sales tax, yes, they're paying taxes. They're not paying property taxes. They're not paying income taxes. So they're not paying what I'm paying. So stop comparing these people to me. They are not. They are not. I agree 100%, Lester. Make them come back the right way. Get in line. Sorry, but I didn't make you stay here 10 years and not do anything about it. You had 10 years to take one day to go down to immigration and say, hey, how can I become legal? They weren't going to just ship you out that day. They would have set a court date, and they would have given you time to figure it out. You chose to sit here and gamble with your life and your kids' lives and your family's lives. That's your choice. That ain't my business. I don't care. I really don't care. I got a family to worry about. But to say that they're paying taxes, they are not. They are only paying consumption taxes. They are not law-abiding citizens. Because I got to pay income tax. They're taking a third no matter what. They're not taking a third of their money. So why are we comparing us? If they get any benefits, that is a plus for them. I don't get that. So you got a guy who can sit outside of Home Depot, go to work, make, I don't know, 20, 30 bucks an hour, whatever they make. I don't even know if it's that much. Whatever, depends on what they're doing, I guess. He can get paid cash. Then he can stockpile money, send it back home, what he calls home, even though he's here. And it's tax-free. The only taxes he pays is when he goes to the store or consumes something. That's not the same thing as what I got to do, because I got to give the government a third. And then I got to take care of most likely his kids that are in school. But that's part of my taxes. And if his wife is on any kind of assistance, I'm paying for that. If they get hurt, go to the hospital, I'm paying for that. Don't compare these people to me. They're not.
Before I go back to Tim, it would be, if you were helping them reframe the law, where would you draw the line in terms of who you would allow to stay and who you would deport?
Well, it sounds like you agree on policy but disagree on tactics. On tactics and the way they're doing it. The way they're rolling in. Usually...
No, I don't, because I don't agree with deporting everyone who's in the country undocumented. Do you?
Everyone who's in the country undocumented? Well, that is not my decision to make. But I know that if you're in any other country undocumented, my opinion is if you're here illegally,
what's your opinion, Dave?
I'm trying to give it to you. If you're here illegally, you should have gone through steps to legalize your status. There's been countless opportunities to do that. There has been tons and tons of opportunities to do that. And you broke the law when you came here. It's the same as in any other country. You've got to find a way to legalize yourself or self-deport, or else ICE will come and they will deport you.
Okay, Timothy, your response to that?
And this is crazy. What he's saying, and I disagree with the tactics and the policy. The tactics have been, again, brutal. I think that Dean Cain wants to turn the country into something that looks more like an authoritarian country. We have negative.
So in his mind, it's crazy to expect somebody who spent 10 years here to at least try to become a legal citizen. That's just crazy. Dude is so weak. How is that crazy? Every other country does it. Every single one. When they were complaining about Trump's wall on our southern border, Mexico was building a wall on theirs. Razor wire, layers and layers of razor wire and wall and fence, and people there with automatic weapons, not semi-automatic, automatic weapons, stopping Argentinians and people from Central America from coming there. All the while, their president was saying how horrible it was that we were building a southern wall. But nobody reported it. It's so insane. These people who say it's crazy when you're being logical, I don't think they're crazy. I think they're sinister. I think there's something behind it. There's an alternative plan. And with him, it's all political. They just want more bodies here to get more Democrat votes.
People coming in, people going out. We have people in masks. Look, Dean was on Fox the other night, and Jesse Waters asked him, will you hop out of ICE vans and start apprehending guys? And Dean said he'd be willing to do that. This is crazy. This is not a TV show. Like, this is real life. The idea that somebody who is not trained would join ICE and join these guys that are putting on masks and jumping out of U-Hauls at a Home Depot and nabbing people, it's a horrible policy. It is un-American. It is not how we should treat people. It does not show a respect for individual rights in a free country. And the policy itself of deporting these people, of deporting everybody that is here undocumented, is a crazy policy. It would crush the economy. Donald Trump's even backtracking on this policy because his friends in the ag industry have called him and said you can't deport our ag workers.
So in his mind, it's crazy to enforce our laws. Which laws do we... I would have flipped the question right back on. What other laws are you okay with breaking, Piers and Timothy? Because it sounds like you don't want to follow the law of the land. That's what I'm hearing. It's just crazy. This is not a free America yet. It's free to Americans. It's not free to anybody who wants to be free. You have to still do things. You have to follow the law. It sounds like they're okay with breaking some laws. And I would ask him, where do you draw the line? Which laws are okay to break and which laws do we need to follow? Because this is pure lawlessness. And he's calling other people crazy for wanting to follow what the legislators who were voted in wrote down for the executive branch and law enforcement to enforce, and for the judicial branch to interpret and say, yeah, this is what we need to do. These two guys, Timothy and Piers, are saying, yeah, we don't need to follow all laws, do we? Where do you draw the line? I draw the line at the law. I don't have to do anything. I can just tell you it's the law.
And then
can you imagine? Sorry. If the police pull me over and I say, come on. Nobody follows this law. We don't really need to follow the law. They're mandated in some instances to either write you a ticket or take you in. Now, they may let you go and be lenient to you, but can you imagine you complaining about it? When you broke the law, it's like that lady in the beginning here. She knows she was stealing. So she's like, they can't deport me. They can't do anything. Even if it's a felony, they have to let me go. I got a kid. That sounds like what these two well, Piers is, I think he's got dual citizenship now. But it sounds like what this guy, who he's weak, but he's American, it sounds like he's saying that some laws are okay to break.
On top of that, not only is the policy bad, and not only tactics un-American of these masked thugs jumping out and grabbing people, but ICE is screwing up over and over again. They don't need more agents. They certainly don't need more untrained actors as agents. Right here in Louisiana, I'll just give you two. Madonna Kashanian, she's a 64-year-old Iranian grandmother. She came here as a student. She did everything the teen said. She was trying to get asylum. The U.S. kept kicking the can on that. She kept going to appointments. She's gardening outside her home, and she gets picked up by ICE. She was in detention for a week. Jose Francisco Garcia Rodriguez, 73-year-old grandfather. He emigrated on a U.S. boat from Cuba and tried to get asylum. Had a paperwork mistake. Arrested by ICE, held for a week. George Redis in California, 25 years old, worked as a security guard. U.S. citizen. ICE grabbed him, held him for 3 days. And this.
So you notice these people weren't deported. 2 of them had mistakes on their paperwork, and it had to be sorted out. Okay, what is wrong with that? It had to be sorted out. Eventually, this was going to happen, and he's making it sound like they were deported and shipped away. One was held for a week until her paperwork was sorted out. The other one was going through a process, but none of them were citizens. So he's making it sound like American citizens were just shipped off to another country. Like they try to say with that Boston dude, the illegal alien from Boston. But all of these cases what happened to them should have happened.
We can argue about this. This doesn't even get into the Venezuelans that we sent to CCOT, many of whom didn't come to the country illegally. They came legally. They sought asylum. They came across the border, and rather than sending them back to Venezuela, ICE and Kristi Noem sent them to a torture prison in a third country that they weren't even from. So, ICE does not need more untrained agents right now. ICE needs to learn how to follow the law and treat people who have not committed crimes with respect and with the rights earned.
So there were Haitians in Colorado, and what he's talking about is the Venezuelans. All of these people came here illegally and then filed for asylum. So at least they tried, but they still came here illegally. The difference is Biden said it's okay to stay here. And we thank you guys for trying to file for asylum, but none of them entered through a port of entry. None of them. So they were here illegally. Biden just allowed it. And what the left does is they say, oh, no, they were here legally because Biden said they could be here. That doesn't mean anything because they still didn't come through a port of entry. And that's the difference. And they don't always come through a port of entry because they don't want to wait on the other side. So they sneak in and then file. It's still illegal because the law is very clear. You have to enter through a port of entry and then declare asylum at the border. They're avoiding having us to stay in Mexico in the meantime. But that's not our problem because Mexico is not the place you're fleeing. You're fleeing from Venezuela. You should be happy to be in Mexico. But they're not. They want to come here because of the economy. Is it really about fear? So when they say these things, you guys got to listen. You really need to listen to what they're saying because they'll just say they were here legally. They're only saying that because Biden said they can stay. That's not the same thing as being here legally. It's not. You're just being tolerated at that point.
Okay, but Tim, it remains the case. Hang on, Dean. I'll come to you. The thing I would say, Tim, to that, as I said in the intro, it remains a fact that the level of deportation so far in this Trump term are about half of what they were in the Obama and Biden administrations.
You alluded to it. That's because this is kind of one of these things that's, statistics like lies, damn lies and statistics. Part of the reason for that was, as you said, the border was open. We can critique it, probably too open during the Biden-Obama administrations. When they're counting the deportations, as people that come to the border, come across the border, get sent right back across. So it's easy to run the numbers up when you're doing that. The border right now is shut down, as you guys mentioned. So what they're now doing is going to get people from inside the interior of the country. That's much more challenging. And so they're spending all this money to get new ICE agents. People who are former actors, apparently, are going to come in and start helping with this. And the problem when you go into the interior of the country to start finding people is if you're just trying to get a quota, Stephen Miller set quota, you're going to end up nabbing people like George Redis, who was actually a citizen, or like Jimena Arias Cristobal, who was pulled over incorrectly because they got the wrong car, and you're going to screw up. And
but
so
it sounds to me, okay, but it sounds to me,
you cannot just do a quota and send people to Alligator Alcatraz and send them away. Like it's more challenging. It's
okay,
hard.
But it's not. Okay, but it sounds to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, that what critics would say of what you've just said is, okay, so what is the difference in principle between somebody who comes over the southern border illegally and somebody who's come over a different way, or perhaps earlier over the southern border, but remains in the country illegally, notwithstanding the fact they may have built a life for themselves? If you're happy for people to be rejected immediately if they come over illegally, why would you be unhappy about them being held to account for being there illegally in a year, 2 years, 3 years?
You have to have a border, you have to have rules and controlling the country, right? I get it, and so we are where we are. But I would just point out, Piers, that a lot of the people who are being deported, again, didn't come over illegally. We're not talking about people across the Rio Grande. We're talking about either children, DACA kids that got brought here by their parents. We're talking about people that overstayed visas. Donald Trump and J.D. Vance have made a bunch of people illegal that weren't, because they came through asylum. Either Joe Biden or George Bush or Obama or even Trump actually himself in the first term gave people from a lot of countries, Venezuela, Cuba, etc., asylum, temporary protected status, Haiti. This was a big thing during the campaign. And so now they've taken away their status and they're like, self-deport or we'll deport you. So these people.
No, so that's not true. He just outright lied. They didn't make people who were legal illegal. Their time ran out from their situation, and either they didn't get it fixed or they got denied. That's not Trump saying you got to go even though you're here legally. But I'm going to show you what he's doing is so dishonest. It's so dishonest. This year, make this a little bit bigger. This year, the data from immigration courts and ICE reports that tens of thousands of people have been deported or ordered removed in the first half of this year. So far this year. Through 2025, immigration courts have listed over 360,000 deportation orders. He brought up, what, 4 cases of mistakes that weren't really mistakes? It was clerical on their end. They weren't kicked out of the country. They weren't deported. They were brought in until it was resolved and let back go. ICE has deported over 120,000 individuals from January to May. And he's talking about 3 people, 4 people. That's a statistical 0. He's making it sound like that's the norm. Oh my, look at all these people. They're being sent away. Dude, you're being dishonest, and it's clearly on purpose. It's wrong. I don't like when people lie like this. I really don't.
People didn't come illegally. They came through a legal process, and now we've got ICE agents and apparently former Superman actors are going to jump out of vans and nab them and hold them in deportation cells. That's insane. Like, that's not how you act in a free country. So no, I do think in a lot of these cases it is different. Like, a lot of these situations are complicated, and they've tried to come legally.
They are. There is no doubt it is complicated. Dean, over to you.
Tim, I don't understand why you have to go, a former untrained actor. I'm not untrained. I've been a sheriff's deputy for almost 10 years. I've been a sworn sheriff's deputy and a reserve police officer. So I don't know why you're saying untrained. And by the way, when you join ICE, they train you. So to say that and try to denigrate because I'm an actor, I shouldn't be able to be concerned about what's going on with our borders or with our law enforcement agencies is denigrating. It's ridiculous. Should I say because you're a former Republican strategist, you have no say on anything? That's baloney. So first of all, discounting that, making a cheap joke, just like John Oliver or Bill Maher or anybody else. Let me finish my sentence, please. Let me finish my sentence, please. Denigrating somebody because they're doing this because of what they used to do or what they do, or whether they're an actor or a writer or a newscaster, is ridiculous. It's an ad hominem attack. It's wrong. And there's been over 100,000 people who have put in applications for ICE. So clearly there is a desire for people to step up and serve this country.
Dean, if you show up at someone's, you said on Fox that if they sent you in, you'd be happy to jump out of a truck and go apprehend people. So if you show up at the door of someone's home as an ICE agent, which you're an ICE agent now, do you know what rights they have?
I'm not an ICE agent yet.
Oh, okay. So yes, you are an untrained former actor. You are an untrained former actor.
I'm a former professional football player too. So when I run down a resume, so it's stupid.
I'm just telling a fact.
You're untrained. You denigrate it as though it's something negative. You denigrate it like it's something negative. Like you know what you're saying. So we're trying to gloss over it. It's ridiculous. It was snarky and it was stupid.
I'm telling you what's negative. You don't know the job. You don't know the job. That's why it's negative. It's nothing.
You don't know that I don't know the job. You're just assuming. Did you know I was a law enforcement officer?
I just asked you, do you know what migrants' rights are? If you show up to someone's house as an ICE agent, do you know what rights they have? Do you know?
All the due process rights of anybody in this country.
Okay. So do you need a warrant signed by?
So what he's doing is, if you get a job at McDonald's today, what he's saying is you're untrained and you should not be allowed to cook for people. Okay, but I just got hired. I haven't even gone through training yet. So then you're technically an untrained person who shouldn't be cooking for people. It's like, what are you doing, dude? What are you doing? He just said, I'm not an agent yet. So then you're untrained. So I can make this insane point that doesn't have anything to do with what we're talking about. It is an ad hominem attack. He's attacking the guy because he played Superman. But what he just said is, I also played professional football and I've been a police officer for however many years. It's like, dude, what are you doing? So, but you're not trained. We have all these untrained people coming in. You go through training before you can actually do any of the things you're talking about. He will know by the time he's done training when they can and can't go in a place. But even that, if you're just a regular agent, you don't have to be part of a strategy. You just show up and do what you're told. He may literally just be there to detain. He doesn't have to strategize and go over what laws are what. He won't have to do that. It depends on your role. Right now, I had my daughter apply. and I'm like, oh, I should apply. Right now, they're hiring ICE agents at $50,000 bonus with a 5-year commitment. So you get an extra 10 grand a year for pay. The pay is from, I think they said 60 to 95,000 a year. So you have a chance to make 6 figures a year for the next 5 years for joining ICE. And this guy's complaining about that. This is all opportunities and jobs. You commit for 5 years, they will give you $10,000 a year for those 5 years. That's the bonus that they got right now. Great benefits. How is this bad for America again? These are all American people getting these jobs. They're creating jobs. And these people are dedicated and guaranteed, unless they do something stupid, they're guaranteed an opportunity to at least make $100,000 a year if you're at the top of the scale. Like, exactly, KMC, exactly. And my daughter, one of my daughters, has all the training and everything for this. She kind of works in that arena. So I'm like, you need to apply for ICE. She's doing well, but 6 figures at 25 years old? Man, you know how proud I would be? So this guy's complaining about it as if it's a bunch of untrained people just going to come running in, barging in, and grabbing up Mexicans. It's like, nah, dude. There's still a process. The guy cooking the fries at McDonald's still has to learn how to do it. They don't just say do it and have somebody like you sitting in the lobby complaining. He doesn't even know what he's doing. Look at him. He don't know how to fry. His points they're just dumb. They make no sense.
Judge to apprehend somebody?
This is ridiculous. I'm not a sworn ICE agent
Quizzing
yet.
him.
Well, you were saying you were happy to jump out of vans and start apprehending people. You were bragging about that.
I will. And then you made it, of course. I would if that's what the director asked me to do.
I've got to say, hang on.
So
I've got to say, of all the arguments to use against Dean Cain, I do find the kind of constant sneering that he was Superman and an actor.
And Lester. So what's even cooler about it is you can apply, because I went in there. I was on that site. You can apply, and there's an over 40 section. There's one for people to come back from retirement, and then there's the regular ones. So anybody can apply. I think it's 65 is the cap. Anybody else can apply. Like, why wouldn't come on? It makes sense. The average for Black households, I want to say the average salary is like $45,000. Why wouldn't anyone, as long as you don't have a criminal background, obviously there's going to be an extensive background check, but why wouldn't anyone try this and jump up to 6 figures immediately for the next 5 years? With that experience, you can pretty much do anything in government after that. Why wouldn't anybody do it? Can it be dangerous? Yeah, it can be dangerous. You're dealing with people. Anytime you're dealing with people in detention, it can be dangerous. But people work in prisons. So why wouldn't anybody? To me, this is a great opportunity. Great opportunity. You have a chance to make a lot of people don't make 6 figures. Most people don't make 6 figures. So yeah, I told her, I was like, you better go apply. It is dangerous, but she's got experience, like a lot of experience in that. But for people over 40, anybody can apply for this. I would do it. I might do it. If they have manager positions, I would do that. Because I can manage anybody. I can run, man. I think I can run. The most people I've led at once, probably about 150 to 200 people. I think I can run a few offices in immigration. I'm going to look into this. If you're in Texas, if you're near Dallas, they're having a what do you call it? Like a job for career fair, just for this, just for Border Patrol and immigration and something else. It's an opportunity, man. I'm just saying. They're having them all over the country right now. You can go straight to 6 figures if you don't make 6 figures. They might need drivers. That's what I'm saying. If you go to one of these fairs, as long as you're under 65, man, I don't know. Why not go? Why not go? See, depending on where you are, look it up. I know there was one supposed to be in Phoenix that got canceled. I think there's one in Illinois. Everywhere where I know people, I looked at. I was like, oh, I need to tell people about this. It's an opportunity, and it could be for some people, opportunity of a lifetime.
I do think that's irrelevant, actually. He's perfectly entitled, as an American citizen, to train up to be an ICE agent, should he want to. And as he's made repeatedly clear, Tim, he'll only start being an ICE agent when he's completed that training. So I don't think the fact he's been an actor or footballer or Superman or anything else makes any difference. The fact he's been, as he said, a sheriff and other things in terms of law enforcement actually makes him more qualified than most citizens to train to be an ICE agent. And if he wants to be, then what's the problem? Why should we use his background as a stick to beat him with?
I can answer that, Piers. Are you not concerned that ICE has decided that they're just going to go on this recruitment campaign and start leveling up the amount of agents that are going to be masked going into Hispanic communities?
So he adds the mask because they've been complaining about the mask. The first video I showed you guys today was an illegal immigrant doxing ICE agents. That's why they wear the masks. It doesn't change who they are, what they do. They still have to identify themselves. It's not like they're just running around attacking people. There's been no cases of people pretending to be ICE agents and attacking people. So his point is completely irrelevant, 100% speculative. Well, what if they do this? What if they... It doesn't matter if they wear masks. It's silly. What's ironic is the left campaigned and drilled nonstop into our heads about we need to wear masks for 2 years, 3 years. Well, not here in Houston, but most of the country, a lot of parts of the country. And now here we go. Yeah, it's in Arlington. It's right by not far from the Cowboy Stadium, and it's by their baseball. It's by Six Flags. It's right there. It's right there. So, anyway, including children for years is absolutely insane. They had no problem with everyone wearing a mask then, but now all of a sudden, oh my God, they're masks. This guy's so weak.
Communities?
Well, no, I think
all that just
on the
shows
masking. Well, hang on.
We want trained people. We want trained This is very hard. It's hard work, and we got to respect people's rights. And like, ICE is not doing that.
But nobody
and just going up really quick, hiring a bunch of people is not great. It's not going to help. That's a real concern. That's a legit concern that people who are not trained are going to be doing these jobs.
Sure. Two things I would say by way of response. One, I've not seen any evidence that people are going to be poorly trained to be ICE agents. They'll be recruited as they always have been and trained. Well, but you're talking about trained ICE agents.
They keep grabbing people.
I don't think wearing masks. I don't think the. Yeah, but but my second point was we all know why they're wearing masks. It's because they're being doxxed left, right, and center on social media and having their lives threatened. Of course they are.
This is bullshit. This is bullshit. For starters, we have evidence ICE agents are being trained. But it is. Really quick. Let's go back to George Redis. He arrived at work. He was a U.S. citizen. ICE agents surrounded his car. He identified himself as a U.S. citizen. They broke his window, pepper sprayed him, and dragged him out. He was in detention for 3 days. So we do have evidence that they're not being trained to respect people's rights. And on the masks, this is crazy. Do you know how many judges have been threatened? You know, if you're a judge and you have that there's a case that is happening, you're a prosecutor, and you're targeting a murder suspect. These guys have been threatened. There have been judges whose families have been threatened. Their lives have been threatened. There are a lot of people in public life who have been threatened.
They have protection. That's the difference. They have protection.
Still don't get to wear a mask and be a secret judge. Not in a free country. You don't. I'm sure you get threatened. Like, I'm sorry. If you're an agent of the government, if you're a representative of the people, you need to show your face and name yourself so that you have accountability. That is a totally reasonable ask. And so I have no sympathy.
Well, let me get Dean. All right, well, I'll get Dean to respond, but there is an irony, of course, that all the people who campaigned so aggressively for everyone to be masked during the COVID pandemic are now furious about the wearing of masks. Dean, your response.
Well, the reason, the unfortunate reason that they're masking up is because they are being doxxed. Attacks on ICE agents have gone up over 1,000%. Their families, you disagree with that stat?
No, I'm sure that, but look, that's what I'm saying. I'm sorry, if you work for the federal government, you cannot be a secret agent that nabs people.
No, do you
Again,
disagree with this
he's
stat?
sure,
I asked you
but-
specifically.
So he's saying, I'm sure, but he doesn't care because it's people he doesn't like.
Okay, I think it doesn't. No, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You still have to. You still can't be a secret thug cop in a free country. I'm sorry. You have
They're
to tell
not
people.
thug cops, and the fact that you're denigrating them and calling them these names and these things. Villainizing. Let me finish my sentences. You're going out and you're villainizing myself. You're going out and you're villainizing these ICE agents who are trying to uphold the law. These are wonderful men and women. They shouldn't be attacked. Their families shouldn't be attacked. They're doing their job that Congress has given them the authority to do and written the laws for. If you don't like the laws, have Congress change them. We should be upset that a new legislation. You're coming out with.
I suppose actually on that, because we see you dismissing American citizens being unalived and being victimized while complaining that illegal aliens are being victimized, even though he's not even talking about real victims. He's talking about people who were had their car window broken and taken back to ICE, but then released back into our country. And all of those have actual reasons for it happening. It's not just random. The victims here of any kind of violence, it's just apparently not a big deal to this guy.
There are some that are getting through the net, which is unacceptable. I don't like the tactics of storming into Home Depot and rounding up random people who may be undocumented. But we shouldn't be too denigrating of what ICE is doing in removing bad people. That we should all be on the right side of.
I don't denigrate that, but I'm just saying in any job, there are people that are bad apples that act poorly. It's true about podcasting, news hosting, acting. Like when you have the force of the state at your hand, you have to be transparent about who you are, and allowing people to be masked and to rough people up without any accountability is just wrong. And what about that guy? I don't have his name in front of me. There's the older gentleman outside the IHOP in LA where you are, Piers, who got pepper sprayed, pushed to the ground, manhandled, thrown into a van. There's a video of it. His kids all served in the military. He hadn't filled out some of his paperwork. Is that the way that we treat people? It encourages bad behavior when guys get to wear masks and.
So he's acting like that guy wasn't in police officers' faces during a protest. See, this is what they do. So most people don't know all of these cases. I know all of the cases that he's talking about. Should the guy have gotten pepper sprayed? No. Did the officer get in trouble? No. Why? Provoking a protest. It wasn't just some doing what they're supposed to be doing, because that officer, I believe, if I remember correctly, was grabbing somebody who had actually done something wrong. Don't interfere. You won't get pepper sprayed. Sounds logical to me.
Rough people up. So I'm sorry. Sure, obviously, I'm not denigrating all people that work for ICE, but there have been some very bad actions, and their treatment of some of the migrants has been wrong. And I think that adding in new people who are not trained for this, who have been riled up by the extreme rhetoric of some in this administration, I think that you're going to bring in people that care more about deporting people and getting back at the bad immigrants than they care about respecting people's rights.
He just created an entire narrative. They only want to do that because they don't like immigrants. That's his position. Ignoring that it's a federal job, you're going to go through real background checks, serious background checks. You can't have anything on your record. And he doesn't care. He really doesn't care. With all that said, in summary, there are a lot of illegal aliens and American citizens who are going after our law enforcement instead of saying, hey, maybe you guys should try to become a citizen the right way. Maybe. That would be a good thing. And that's all I got for you guys. I appreciate you all. KMC, Henry, thanks for stopping by, man. Lester, as always, thank you, sir. Uncle L, as always, thank you. Lou Jenkins, appreciate you, man. Miss Baker, thanks for stopping by. Who else was in here? Miss Baker. I don't see just Jay. I think that's everybody. That might be everybody. Oh, G-Well, thanks, man. Thanks for coming back. Appreciate you. Jay, Country Boy Dub, appreciate you, man. As always, thank you guys so much for stopping by. Again, if you know somebody who you think would disagree with the stuff that I say, send them over here. Send them my way. I would love to talk to them. If you know somebody who would agree, send them over here. Like, either way, how can you lose by sharing? You don't have to share in your community wall. You can just share it with the people. Say, hey, there's a guy who I think you will hate. Go watch some of his lives. And then if they start debating in the chat, I'll let them up. We can talk. But I'm not going to debate. I'm not going to argue over my positions. I'm just going to let them know what it is. And I am interested in what other people think. I always have been. I don't want to fight. I'm not trying to fight. I save that for other stuff. So, again, like, share, subscribe. I appreciate you all. Let me make sure I'm not forgetting someone. I've been doing really bad at forgetting Cash Apps. Nope, not missing anybody. I thank you all again. Appreciate everyone. And I hit it on accident. Now I'll say I'm out.